WTF.
Guten Tag, I am Ross from Cultaholic.com, you are my sexual wank pheasants, and welcome to the WTF moments for this week's SmackDown Live. A SmackDown Live that just happened, it was a thing, we're going through the motions on the road to Fastlane trademark. And we kicked off this week's show with a promo from AJ Styles where he told us a series of things that we already know, but of course he believes that the earth is flat, so of course he did that. He mentioned all of his opponents at Fastlane, which of course we already knew. He mentioned the rules for the match at Fastlane, which of course we already knew. I would have liked him to have said something of interest outside of calling Sami Zayn ginger-faced. Of course, Sami Zayn has paler skin than Sheamus's arse. As we all saw in this week's Raw, it kicked off with a gauntlet match that lasted 2 hours, and this week's SmackDown Live kicked off with a gauntlet promo. Everybody in that fatal 5-way match came out, said a bit of stuff, and went home again. When Baron Corbin came out, he was booed, which justified Kevin Dunn's decision to completely mute the crowd during that moment's silence at the start of this week's Raw. As we saw in last week's SmackDown Live, Baron Corbin went through a fully fledged face turn. He got that frown on his belly and he turned it upside down. They booked him as the underdog babyface last week, coming over massive odds, so much so that the crowd, where a SmackDown Live was last week, chanted his name. That is right, a crowd chanted Baron Corbin's name. Yet this week, the Phoenix crowd booed him. What's wrong with you, set of pricks? Yes, I'm kicking things off with a really solid point here, making it a WTF moment that a WWE crowd is booing Baron Corbin. We're kicking things off. At least do what the creative teams on SmackDown Live want you to do with Baron Corbin, which, if you take last week into account, is to sit on your hands in complete befuddlement, wondering what is going on in front of your faces. At this rate, big baldy bastard Baron's going to look like that thing very much soon. Yes, he's going to grow a cock nose. Corbin claims he defeated AJ Styles for the United States Championship, and if he was still a heel, I would not be speaking about him now. But since SmackDown Live put him through a fully fledged face turn last week, I'm calling his bollocks out. You didn't beat Styles, you beat Dillinger. You kicked Styles out the ring and beat Dillinger. And then big baldy bastard Baron claims that AJ Styles is nothing but an athlete while he is a fighter. But then you think about AJ Styles being an athlete who fights, which means Baron Corbin, he's exactly the same thing that you are, cocknose. And then all you have to do is look at the success AJ Styles has enjoyed compared to the success you have not enjoyed, Baron Corbin, to see that being an athlete is much more effective than being a fighter. Ooh, I'm a lover, not a fighter. Ask and you shall receive, Tom Phillips says as Shane McMahon comes out, interrupting Kevin Owens moments after the prize fighter himself claimed that Colonel McHeavy Breathing has had a vendetta against him ever since he laid the old Nuddington on his old man, something everybody has wanted to do at one stage or another, so how can you blame him? No, Tom, nobody asked for Shane McMahon. Shane McMahon just came up because SmackDown Live has disintegrated into nothing more than his own personal version of the Osbournes, but instead of focus on his family, just focuses on him and the little goat man he lives with who always gets in the way, the cheeky little scamp. Again, Shane McMahon was just out there flaunting his sweaty bollocks in our faces when we simply don't want them. Shane McMahon, get in the bin. Now, I love Kevin Owens as much as the next sexual wank pheasant, but I have a bone to pick with him, and it's not the one in me. He claims he has matches just sprung upon him with no time to prepare, something that looked like happening again this week on SmackDown Live when Shane McSweaty Breathing came out and booked Kevin Owens in a match with Dolph Ziggler. We've seen Kevin Owens kick off a few SmackDown Lives in recent times where he's cutting a promo. He comes out, he wears a vest, he wears tracky bees, he wears trainers. This week, however, he came out in his gear and with his face tips. So you're not telling me he wasn't ready for the surprise that was sprung on his arse? Of course he was ready, because he was dressed for it. It's the little things, WWE, just don't forget about them, man. Now imagine a world where a company forces their independent contractors to work the entire year round, including Christmas Day and New Year's Day a few weeks ago. Then imagine that same company writing a script for their show, putting that script on a commentator's table, and then making that commentator make a big old hoo-ha about a break for a superstar makes the world a difference. Here's an idea, WWE. How about you do that for every single superstar, and every single superstar will benefit from that time off? I don't know. I say you give everyone a month off, say at the end of the year, everybody benefits. Storylines can be refreshed. We're not all burnt out. The superstars aren't all burned out. Everybody's happy. Again, for the second week in a row, the commentary team were making a big old hoo-ha how Dolph Ziggler was missing in action from SmackDown Live for 7 weeks, when of course it was 56 days exactly, which is 8 weeks my OCD. And next up we have the moment where Byron Saxton, during that match between Kevin Owens and Dolph Ziggler, said this is the kind of effort you have to come to expect when a WWE Championship opportunity is on the horizon. That had me all like, what the hell? No, hold up. Seth Rollins proved he is the single biggest numpty in the entire world on Raw this week when he went 65 minutes, went backstage, cut a promo and said it meant absolutely nothing. Kevin Owens and Dolph Ziggler threatened to do the same, but thankfully their match ended before it went to the length Seth Rollins did. Why bother putting on a long match and wasting a load of energy when it means natting? How about saving that energy for when it means samting? You at home there, you don't go to the office and work overtime when you don't have to, do you? Exactly. Hipster lying bastard. Kevin Owens in the ring kicks out from a zigzag. Kevin Owens in the stands. Can't believe Kevin Owens in the ring just did that. That's right, there are two Kevin Owens in the world, and since my best friend in the entire world has lost a mountain of weight in recent times, we can only presume that he gave birth to himself recently. Made a grave mistake, Corey. Corey Graves claims that Jinder Mahal is going to give Bobby Roode a rude awakening, yet during that Jinder Mahal and Bobby Roode promo I didn't see a single neck breaker being used. Now one of three things has happened here. Either one, Corey Graves is a liar. 2, Jinder Mahal lied to Corey Graves and then didn't do what he said he was going to do to Corey Graves. Or 3, I'm talking absolute horseradish. Jinder Mahal saying he knows a secret about Bobby Roode and saying that the WWE Universe deserves to know about this secret is just another example to us all of the hypocrisy that blights Shane McMahon to this very day. Remember Shane McMahon's lockbox, the contents of which were never revealed and then just forgotten about as if they never existed? I believe we deserve to know what our SmackDown Live commissioner is hiding, especially when he just carts out his superstars and allows them to expose other superstars on the roster. It's bollocks that, mind. WWE is crooked. No wonder Shane McMahon is sweating 24/7 with his arse twitching like a rabbit's nose for the fear that what was inside that lockbox might be exposed someday. So the married couple that are Shane McMahon and Daniel Bryan are arguing backstage over what the United States Championship match should be at Fastlane. Daniel Bryan wants one thing, Shane McMahon wants the other thing. And because he's the commissioner of SmackDown Live, Shane McMahon gets what he wants. As they've explained since the dawn of time, his word carries more weight than Daniel Bryan. So what did he do? He got Daniel Bryan's idea, put it into a nice little ball, and shoved it straight up Daniel Bryan's cabriolet. And what else did he do? He got the complete narrative of the main event storyline in SmackDown Live over the past 6 months, wrapped up in a nice little bow, turned it sideways, and shoved it straight up his own cabriolet. He simply overruled Daniel Bryan there, so why wasn't he doing that when Daniel Bryan was booking Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn in these matches that Shane McMahon clearly didn't want? When Corey Graves said that what's happening in SmackDown Live's women's division is very similar to what's happening in Raw's women's division, I was shook. He might as well have said what I've been saying for ages now, and that SmackDown Live creative team have been copying Raw's creative team for bare time, fam. Bare time. Arsene Wenger's net spend, fam. What? Corey Graves is a fraud, confirmed. There he was, sat behind the commentary table, acting all big and clever, taking credit for SmackDown Live being a thing. Then at the end of that women's match, the camera panned to the crowd, where a fan had a sign with SmackDown Live written on it, which just proves that much like everything else on SmackDown Live, Corey Graves copied somebody else's work and then passed it off on his own. Snotty. Oh my God. Die, 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 die. Caddy Wombus. And we end this week's SmackDown Live WTF moments with the fact there was no Shinsuke Nakamura, even though he was in a video package, but he wasn't there in person, so it wasn't the same. And more importantly, no Rusev on this week's show. This is the worst thing that has ever happened in the history of the world when you consider that Shane McMahon and Daniel Bryan, the complete couple of con artists, were there in the ring. Rusev Day Chance took over the arena, and they both said duly noted. They've took him away since then. Last week it was no Nakamura and Styles. This week it was no Nakamura and Rusev. It's just as if SmackDown Live's creative team are taking their two fingers and pointing them up at the entire WWE universe and laughing while they're doing so. And to round things off, it's time to debut a brand new segment called
Wankety Wank, Wankety Wank, Wankety Wank, Wankety Wank, Wankety Wank, Wankety Wank, Wankety Wank.
As so many of you do already, contact me on Twitter at RossOnWrestling during Raw, during SmackDown, during a pay-per-view with a WTF moment that you think deserves to be on one of my videos, and I might just shout you out if I've missed it, because much like on Blankety Blank, where they fill in the blanks, Wankety Wank fills in my blanks. Thanks to Ralph Thompson, who spotted a grave mistake that I missed. Apparently he called Shane McMahon the general manager of SmackDown Live, when as we all know, he's the commissioner. So that's that. And that's it. I've been Ross from Cultaholic.com. You've been my sexual wank pheasants. Follow me on the Twitter machine at Ross on Wrestling. Pledge to our Patreon page, patreon.com/Cultaholic. There's all kinds of tiered rewards. Anything you can give us will be greatly appreciated and then re-titivated into many things to produce more fantastic content for your viewing pleasure. But most importantly of all, do not forget to join us on Everything But a Rover Metro.